And then, and so the way private equity, let's just like impacts the financial markets as a whole, like really big picture.
Yeah.
The way I think about it, and correct me if I'm wrong here. So you have like the whole hy- uh, efficient market hypothesis, right? And we have
Hmm.
active and passive investors. Um, Really, the passive concept doesn't work unless you have active, right? I mean, the active participants allow the passive investor to do that.
Indeed, indeed.
Okay.
Yeah. So, sorry, finish your question.
No. I'm just curious for people to wrap their heads around maybe connecting the dots on how on just that concept of how private equity in and of itself is kind of a good thing in that it does it help sort of the passive investors through actively supporting or selling firm. Is that a good way of thinking about it or?
Well, I want in terms of sort of efficient markets, at least the way you're thinking about it in terms of the theory really applies to public equity markets.
Okay.
But the concept still applies to overall corporate financial markets. The idea is as follows, is that for the market to be efficient, the idea is that you have capital being allocated to its best and highest use, right? And that's ostensibly also what private equity managers are trying to do, for
Hmm.
sure, right? So if you think broadly more about the role of private markets, right? Um, they're essentially there to provide, fuel for business growth, right? So my, sister wants to start a business. She launches a website, but she needs capital to scale potentially, or she needs some institutional knowledge for distribution channels. So this is what private markets can provide. So it's really sort of a corporate finance function, if you will.
Gotcha.
How can we best help grow these firms, provide some flexible capital, right? As I mentioned, enable sort of distribution or infrastructure development for that firm. And then at the same time, those investors who have excess capital, the investors, right,
Hmm.
will hopefully have some enhanced return potential. So markets are efficient in that in a capitalist structure like we have, that prices sort of signal that efficiency. If a business seems too cheap, well, maybe it's cheap for a reason, maybe it's risky, and so private markets might have a role there to play to turn that business around because they probably have some potentially valuable assets. And put that capital, the investor's capital, to its highest and most efficient use.
Hmm.
Yeah. So, and the same is true in public markets, right? More or
Right.
less.
Um,
The opinions and statements presented on this show are for general information only and are not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations. Never make any investment or financial decisions based on information offered on this show without first consulting your financial, legal, or tax advisor. All economic and performance information mentioned on the show is historical in nature and is not indicative of any future results. All indices mentioned on this show are unmanaged and cannot be invested in directly. All information is believed to be from reliable sources. However, we make no representation as to its completeness or accuracy. Lastly, all opinions expressed by Jason Cutitta and any guests on the show are solely their own opinions and do not reflect the opinions of or are endorsed by ToBA Financial. For Jason Cutitta, investment advisory services are offered through ToBA Financial LLC, a registered investment advisor offering advisory services in the state of Hawaii and in other jurisdictions where exempt from registration.